Just a few days following the release of The Sum of Who We Are, the brand new album from Framing Hanley, we've got frontman Kenneth Nixon on our line right now. Ken, let's talk about the new album. It's been in the works for quite a while. We're almost 4 years removed from A Promise to Burn, the previous record from Framing Hanley. Talk about the challenges the band faced in getting this album out there, and how long has this thing been ready to go?
It was a lot of, I think, roadblocks and trials and tribulations that we faced to finally to get to the point where we knew we had the album finished. And it was funded through Kickstarter through our fan base, and that gave it this extra weight, in the sense that we knew that it had to be the best stuff that we had done, because the people that were paying for the recording basically, are the people that are responsible for us still kicking around as a band. The only reason that we were able to continue doing this because of the fans of our band. And the fact that they were the catalyst and that sent us to the studio to record this album. I think over the course of the 2.5 years we were recording this, that there's a lot of, oh man, I don't know if this is good enough yet. I don't know if this, and maybe it was us. I don't want to say being perfectionists, because I don't want to say by any means we have a perfect album, but you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where I think that maybe we let it get and we spin on this, because this is without a doubt our strongest album to date, and I don't think I would feel as strongly about this album if we didn't spend the amount of time and work and effort into this album as we did.
And I'm sure there's got to be a lot of pressure for you guys. I mean, you're asking fans to pony up some money for a record sight unseen. That's got to put a lot of pressure on you to make sure you guys deliver.
That's exactly what it was, man. And, I think we never have been on past albums. We never would, I guess, take a song back to the woodshed after it had been recorded. Usually you do that a few times before taking it and laying it down and tracking it. But this is the first album where we would actually track an entire song and get to the finished product of it, and then live with it for like a week, and then be like, you know what, let's revisit this, again when we can get our heads around it in a couple of weeks. And I'm very glad we did that, because one of my favorite songs in the album, No Saving Me, is a completely different song than it was originally. And you're right, it's exactly because of the fact that the people that, like you said, that were responsible for us being able to even go into the studio and record this are people that are big fans of our band, and we didn't want to let them down.
Now the album's done. It's actually been out for a couple days now. I mean, how relieving is this for you guys, just that the album's finally out there, and how pleased are you with the finished product?
Like a dream, man. I've never been one to listen to our albums when we're complete with them. I never. Maybe a song here and there if my wife is listening to it and I get in the car. Other than that, never going one to go back and listen to our work. This album is different. I'm very, very proud of this album. Maybe it's the time we spent on it and knowing the morphine that some of these songs did. But yeah, man, it's an exciting time for our band.
The first single, Criminal, has this slow-building verse to a catchy rock chorus. What inspired you guys to write this song and to select it as the first single on the new record?
That was, I think, just a song that when we were listening to see what the first single would be, it was just one that resonated. And the chorus, stuck in your head. And obviously that's what a band wants when they're coming flying out of the gate again for the first time in a few years. So, yeah, it was a fun song, and it's also funny because it's the first track on the album, the first single, but was the very last song we finished tracking in a 2.5-year recording process. So it's one that I think, every show that we played so far, even, we just did a week and a half with 3 Days Grace. And even with fans of their band who perhaps didn't know who Framing Hanley were, that was one song where by the end of the song they were singing along. So, yeah, hopefully we made the right choice. It's a fun song.
The band stops locally here in New York City at the studio at Webster Hall with Devour the Day on May 5th, or Cinco de Mayo. How did you get linked up with the Devour guys on this run, and talk about what it's like for you to perform right here in New York City?
Joey and Blake from Devour the Day are two old buddies of mine, of our band, from their time in Egypt Central. Memphis, Tennessee boys, us being Nashville, Tennessee boys, we tend to stick together, and we played some shows with those guys over the years, and became good friends with Blake and Joey, and when I heard Devour the Day release their, excuse me, when I heard them release their album last year, yeah, and I heard the singles, I was like, wow, you know, at first I wasn't even aware that it was Blake and Joey, and I knew they had, when Egypt Central ended, that they were talking about a new project, and yeah, when I heard their songs on the radio, I was like, man, this band's really good, and I checked them out, and I was like, oh damn, that's Blake and Joey. So yeah, it's cool to be, you know, going out on the road on your first headline tour in support of the new album with a band that you're friends with, and a great band like Devour the Day. You know, Starset and 3 Years Hollow, 2 other bands that are kicking ass at radio right now in the rock realm that we're excited to have on the bill as well. So that's going to be fun. And as far as playing in New York City, it's not very often, I feel like, that we get to come to New York and do a show. I think maybe we've played there twice in the near 10 years of touring, which is crazy, you know, because we play countless times at other cities across the country, and, you know, that being the mecca of entertainment, it's like playing there twice is a little blasphemous. So that's my favorite city in the U.S., so it's always a treat to come back to New York City, and I'm looking forward to come back with, you know, the album that we have now that we're touring in support of, The Summit We Are, and yeah, to see hopefully some familiar faces and some fresh new faces.
As a young band, covers sort of have to be a part of your repertoire. Obviously, Lil Wayne's Lollipop was a huge song for you guys. Even your cover of In Bloom by Nirvana was pretty well received. Do you have any more songs that you want to tackle as future covers, or because of the success of Lollipop, is it sort of more important for you that the band stick to your original material?
Yeah, I don't know that you'll see any more, at least recorded, released covers from Frame and Hanley. You know, never seen that, like they say, but even In Bloom, not many people even know about the cover In Bloom by Nirvana that we did. That was actually for a special release that Kerrang in the UK and magazine in the UK did for the anniversary of Nevermind. And we had kind of at the time been like, wouldn't. And then we got asked to be a part of that. And In Bloom is actually mine and Chris, our drummer's favorite Nirvana song. So, you know, the fact that they asked us to do that, there's no way we could turn that down. So, you know, that was a fun song to do, especially it being one of the songs that we grew up, you know, in middle school listening to that got us into rock and roll. So it was cool to be a part of that. But yeah, I mean, right now, you know, we're pretty focused on this. We have so many songs, man, that didn't even make the cut of this album that, you know, I would be lying to say that I think we'd have any time in the near future to do a cover. So I don't know that you'll be hearing any cover songs from us anytime in the near future, but as I said, never say never, I guess.
The band's got some dates that run through a chunk of the spring. What are you guys looking at doing for the summer and for the rest of 2014?
We're going to tour our asses off, man, just relentlessly. That's the only way to make, you know, to make a name nowadays, to get your name out there, is to just tour, and we've never been shy about that. It's something we've always done, perhaps too much, some might say, but it's been a long time, you know, after spending this long on an album and beating your head in the wall, working on songs over and over again, you know, the treat is to be able to go out there and to play these songs live for people that somehow, for whatever reason, for some reason, make a connection with your songs. You know, that's the beautiful thing about what we do, and that's the reward for us in all of this. So, yeah, I mean, right now I know we have May booked with Devour the Day, Starset, 3 Years Hollow, and that may continue on into June. And who knows from there? I just know that you will find on our website our tour schedule, you know, full consistently.
Now, you guys got your start in music as teenagers, which probably either makes you more experienced or more jaded musicians at this point. What's the biggest thing you learned in the jump from album 1 to album 3?
Man, I think instantly one thing I learned is that everything that I dreamed of, maybe, you know, dreamed accomplishing, or, you know, aspired to a goal to one day reach, or, you know, some level of success to attain, maybe when I was in high school and dreaming of doing this, that's so far out of reach now, and it's not about that anymore. I think that's what weeds out a lot of these musicians nowadays, is that there's the glitz and the glamour is not really there anymore. It's not about that. It's about just writing music that, somehow, like I said, for whatever reason, someone ends up relating to, and a lot of times it isn't even what the song is about that you wrote, that you wrote it about, but they can somehow take this, this 3-minute, 3.5 minute song and have it relate in a totally different way to their song, and it makes sense in their life. That's the beautiful thing about music. That's what I love about other artists, is being able to listen to my favorite bands and take a song that might mean one thing to them, but I convince myself, no, man, they wrote it about this because that's what it means to me. And, I've learned to appreciate that more than anything else, because that's something that's going to be here for the duration of, and it will be here after, Framing Hanley. That's something that you can't take away. I remember talking to Benji from Good Charlotte when we did a tour with those boys in Europe, and we were just talking about the state of the history, and because he was one of those bands that was on TRL every day when I was in high school, and it's like, that band was maybe perhaps the last of rock stars, if you will, that level of success, that type of, I guess, pedestal that bands were put on, they were up there, and like I said, I remember seeing those guys on TRL every day after school. I'd rush home and they would be one of the bands in the countdown, and I just had a discussion with them one night at length about, what happened in the industry, how did it get to this, and obviously, file sharing and illegal downloading, that all was a big catalyst and part of this. But he said one thing that's always held true, and I talk about it in a song on the album called Forever Till the End, but it's like, one thing they can't take away is our songs and the legacy that it leaves behind, whether it be with a million people or one person. We will live forever in some people's hearts. There's songs that people make a connection to, and that never goes away, but not with other bands that I'm fans of. And that's something that I don't think even, dreaming of doing this, that I ever even envisioned. It's something that maybe I look past, but it's something that in the end is bigger than all of the other things that I could have ever dreamed of accomplishing with this band.
You guys have done this whole record on your terms, and hopefully you guys will reap a lot of the benefits because of it. We can't thank you enough for your time today. Excited to have you back in New York City. Is there anything else you'd like to leave for the readers of localbozo.com?
Oh man, I'm looking forward to the show in New York on the 5th. Cinco de Mayo. I don't know how crazy New York City gets on that day, but I think New York City always looks for a reason to get crazy, so I'm sure that night's going to be crazy. So, if you can make it out to the show, be there, and expect a fun night full of a bunch of kick-ass rock bands.
Fans, The Sum of Who We Are, the long-awaited new album from Nashville's Framing Hanley, is out now wherever you buy your rock music. You can catch the band live at the studio at Webster Hall on Monday, May 5th with Devour the Day, and tickets are available right now. And we've been chatting with Framing Hanley frontman Ken Nixon. Ken, can't thank you enough today for your time. All the best of luck on the new album and on the road, my friend.